Greetings, everyone. Welcome to CRWS Counter Racist Business Meeting, attempted counter racist business meeting study on race code war by Khari Enaharo, the power of words, images, and symbols on the black psyche. We are covering pages 135 through 144. And just gonna get us started by reading a little bit of this section is called selected code words that signify for white people. The following is a list of some of the most frequently used code words that mean white people, things, and places. I'm gonna read a bit from man, and yeah, you should be able on the screen. You can see Neely Fuller's codified definition of man. I'm going to read the third paragraph a little bit later from that definition. But from 135 of Race Code War, I'm just going to I'm going to move around a bit in reading this. So I'm going to read statements like man and his environment, God and man and nature, man cannot live by bread alone, are a part of millions of direct references to the white man. In each of these references, the word man always directly or indirectly refers to a white male. And then I'm gonna read from 136, these three paragraphs. White people, white things, and white places are at the center of the universe, and everything else in the universe must evolve around whiteness. It keeps the focus on white people and creates a deep belief in the idea that white is right. White people are the best, should be in charge, will do the right thing, and are always on the side of what is good and just. It also establishes a deep sensitivity to white problems, white suffering, and white progress. In the mindset of Black people, their minds are trained to identify with whiteness over Blackness. Many Black people will readily believe what the white news media says about a Black individual before they will believe what the Black person says. They are connected to a strong, almost unbreakable belief in the white is right syndrome. Thus, when a frame of reference is applied to the word man, it is clear that man is viewed from the perspective of a white man. If the use of the word were intended as a universal definition without regard to race, creed, or color, non-white males would not be defined by a reference to the color or race. Other males are classified as Black men, Chinese men, Arabs, and so forth. In the majority of books, videos, movies, non-white men are defined by race and color. A Black male in particular is never defined simply as a man. Over in the corner, he is defined as the Black man in the corner, or that Black guy in the corner. Another reason for this color-based definition is to establish color supremacy. The white man is superior to the Black man, brown man, yellow man, red man. The third purpose is to establish the white worldview, the white frame of reference as the standard for the world. And then from the words of Neely Fuller Jr., men are not subject to white supremacy racism. Do not submit to or cooperate with persons who practice white supremacy racism, unless those men are white persons. Therefore, all non-white persons who submit to and or who cooperate with white persons who practice white supremacy racism are victims of and or are subject to white supremacy racism. The only people in the known universe who exist as victims of and or in subjugation to the white supremacists, racist men and racist women, collectively are non-white males. None of these non-white males function as men. All of them functions as boys. And if you're a Black female, you function as a girl, Black female, or lady, but not a woman. We're gonna get into that also. But this clip, an excellent clip for this word. But YouTube, don't don't ban me, don't copyright strike me, because I should have white use, so-called fair use, to show this information in the manner that I am showing it, as a news reporting information, attempting to teach information, share information of a constructive value. So I understand that YouTube is operated by white people who are either invested in promoting evil, meaning the system of white supremacy, or they are not interested in promoting evil. If they're not interested in promoting evil and the system of white supremacy, then don't copyright strike this video for me sharing this content. I must beg, as always. So with that being said, I'm going to play this clip.
Today's lesson is about man. The earth belongs to man. The animals belong to man. So do the fish, and the birds, the trees, the grass, the stones. Man is the king of the earth, under God. Does this sound good? It is not good. Man is not good, a vile king, a scarlet monster in love with darkness, because darkness hides him. It is necessary for a monster to hide himself away, yes. But amongst those vile kings called men, there are some who can bear a little light. It hurts, but some of us can take the pain of that light. There are a few of us, only a few, to whom God has scattered a few grains of light, and we, my poor savage, are the leaders of men. Yes, I am one of those leaders, a king of kings, a vile king of vile kings. Why? Because I accept it all. I bow down to those more kingly than myself, more monstrous than me, for man is a monster, and the greater the man, and I make myself responsible for those who are less kingly, less monstrous. I'm a vile king of vile kings because I use my will, because what I take I keep, because I have a gun, because I have a pipe, I have rum, I have a hammock, razors, a grindstone, an axe, 3 Bibles, ink and paper, 2 barrels of gunpowder, a pair of scissors, books of navigation, 3 Bibles, a hammock, mathematical instruments, crowbars, compasses, canvas, pistols, planks of wood, because I do not flaunt my body, because I know it is scarlet and monstrous, because I am ashamed, because I am proud to be ashamed, because money is the fruit. No, I don't mean money. Yes, because money is the root. Because I am rooted in money and shame, because I am the vile king of the vile earth, because I came to save you from your monstrosity by showing you how dark you are and how monstrous, because I am scarlet and monstrously white, because I have a gun. I love you. Today's lesson.
Incredible. One of my favorite films, definitely in my top 10, Man Friday. Yeah, and just to share my,
can I chime in a bit about this clip?
yeah, let me finish sharing my notes and then you can go right after me. The word man, I suspect my brain computer has always understood that I am not a man. So growing up, I never really called myself a man, or called myself a black man, or a proud black man, or a strong black man. I really never had any interest in pretending that I was a man for some reason. Oh, I guess because of my brain computer got it, and I saw the so-called I saw the black males around me who called themselves men, and they were just quite pitiful and very powerless to do much of anything of value. So I've always felt that I was not a man, a person who has power to end the system of white supremacy, basically, a power to use the system of white supremacy for constructive benefits. So yeah, I think that Neely Fuller's definition and Khari Enaharo's understanding of the word is very accurate. And Sid, would you like to share?
Yeah, because this is directly connected to the reading as well as the clip. So I also had a similar experience, not really classifying myself as a man or a black man or just anything basically. this clip does a fine job at kind of showing racism, white supremacy for what it is, which is a projection of the white male's insanity. And considering the clip is very old, it's just really potent and being connected to Dr. Francis Ketchbothing. He's in this manic Urugu state, and he mentions the weapons. He mentions money being the root of his. When he says the root, symbolically, I should suspect he means his root of his existence. It's just so coded and associating black things, dark things with negativity. Uh, and then contrasting that with his own white skin and saying his own white skin is unbearable. So a lot of shame and insecurities. Really a potent piece of cinema. And when I was reading the text and it was going over the man equals white, the white man is basically God. I guess I picked that up quite early up as a young victim of racism, white supremacy, seeing pictures of white Jesus and white God. But yeah, it's a good idea for all non-white people to probably reconsider practicing worshiping the white man's God or the white God or white Jesus. Probably should allocate energy to doing other things, maybe reading. But yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. And for 137, there has examples of the use of the word man. And towards the bottom, it says, man shall not live by bread alone. And then his decoded meaning is white man must develop spirituality. And that is also what this film Math Friday was about. You know, Friday was trying to teach Master like spirituality, and it just did not compute, which is probably an indication that the Yurugu, you know, it cannot develop so-called spirituality, which probably, with my definition for that, would be, you know, wanting to practice justice, guaranteeing no one is mistreated and those who need help receive constructive help, or simply just not want to destroy the planet that they were born on, and the creatures and people that were also born on the same planet as them. So I've always heard this saying, "Man shall not live by bread alone." I just thought it meant like people, you know, shouldn't just eat a certain kind of food because that's how retarded I have been made. But I'm really grateful for this decoded meaning. Folks like to chime in, not about this word, but about any portion of the text.
I just wanted to comment on the video. I guess the white man in the video, that is known as Master, and he was talking about, you know, what makes him a man. He started to list a bunch of materials and the things that he owned, and right, that's associated with the Urugu, right? Their obsession with materials, and that's what makes them whole or feel whole. So I found that very interesting because now today we all see it, but confused victims will associate what being a man with all the things that they have, all the things that they own, right? The materials they have. They may have a house, a car. Those things are what makes them men. Those are the things that their ancestors weren't able to have. So that's also how they would measure progress, so-called progress under a system of racism. So I found that to be very interesting, and that trend is continuing with many victims. So for the white man, I guess he measures, one of the ways he may measure what it means to be a male is by the things he owns. But for a victim, for victims of racism, we have to understand that that white skin, being white skin, is what allows you to be a man under the system of racism, white supremacy. That's my interpretation of that.
Correct. And a really striking Welsing moment was him equating being a man to also having a gun. You know, the people who have the most guns, who control the production of guns, and who has guns are white people, racist man and racist woman. So the Great Equalizer, ISIS Papers, everyone should read that text. If you don't like reading, check out one of the 2 book studies we've done on that book on our channel. You can find a playlist where the playlists are located. But yeah, equating, that's very it's very correct. And tragically and pitifully, I understand that Black males and Black females equate being a man and a woman to having things, having material comfort, having so-called success. But that is not what makes one a man or a woman. It's not being subjected and dominated under the system of white supremacy, racism. Folks like
I also wanted to add too, because the scene is also interesting in how it kind of shows how white people kind of set up their whole society and culture, right? Black people are tied up in chattel slavery. The white man is going around defining everything, what it means to be a man, and the Black person is completely powerless, completely helpless, can't do anything about it. That was also something that I noticed, and also that the white man was obviously insane, criminally insane while he was going on that rant, which I think is also an accurate representation of what it means to be white.
Yeah, precisely, and a very significant point that he mentioned the Bible multiple times, and that was a really useful tool in dominating Black people and brainwashing Black people, brain trashing Black people, and just having us totally confused about what we're supposed to be doing here. It has been a tool that has convinced Black people, non-white people, kind of across the planet to, just look up to the Lord, look up to the sky, and you will get some help from imaginary white entity. Don't do anything yourself, you just wait on God, wait on Jesus to return, and he's going to solve all your problems. And it has also made us very docile and not wanting to practice counter violence in the form of words, in the form of thought, or in the form of action. So it's been a really useful tool, and I would beg all Black people, I would beg all people classified as Black, non-white across the globe to please understand that your religion, Judaism, Muslim, Islam, Christianity, these so-called religions are not helping you. They have retarded you. They have contributed to your retardation, mine as well. And it's just not something we should be focused on. We should be focused on solving the problem. And evidence should suggest that these religions have not helped to solve the problem, nor can they do that unless we use them in that manner. And they're not designed to be used in that manner. They're designed to keep us as slaves forever. So he mentioned the Bible multiple times, and it's really, it makes sense why he did. Go ahead, Sid.
Yeah, I just want to do some of the decoding so people get a better understanding of what we mean by the religion trap. So I believe that whenever you are practicing Christianity, for example, and you are praying to God, consciously or subconsciously, you are praying to a white man. And I just want to go through some examples of the use of the word man. The statement is man and his world. When this is decoded, it stands for white man and his world, man and God. When that's decoded, it is white man and God. Mankind means white male plurality. A human is a white man. God created man, meaning God created the white man. So we've been heavily indoctrinated to associate whiteness to godship and white people to being gods. And whether we are aware of it or not, it is the energy force that manifests when we attempt to pray. And praying is just a way of begging to an imaginary white person when you really decode what's happening. But yeah, it's really unnecessary. Perhaps go to producejustice.com and purchase the code book by Neely Fuller Jr. Also see if you can check out the ISIS papers and other great books that will help you be less confused.
Yeah, and another important one that I think can allow people to understand just how deep the conditioning goes. It says here, 137 as well. God created man in his own image, which is decoded as God created the white man in his own image, in his own white image. He should have said God created white man and white woman in his own white image. And man's inhumanity towards man, white people fighting each other. So it's all indoctrinated and just racist logic when once we're able to decode the meanings. And we have been trained to practice racist logic when we should be practicing a counter racist logic, which is not many Black people are attempting to do, tragically so. Anyone want to read any code words from 137? Have any notes on any of these code words? Or 138?
I just want to say, just for understanding the power of words, man equals white male, white human, woman equals white woman, white female, white human. There are no Black humans, or brown humans, or yellow humans on planet Earth. Just victims and creatures who have been, subjugated and are being dominated by those who classify themselves as white.
Precisely. So let me see. Was there another? Let me see something here. All right. So he also has woman. I'm only going to read a tad bit from that, discuss a little bit from that. All right. And there's a ton of decoding on white woman. When there's a ton of words, I'm just going to throw out a few. Beautiful woman, which means individual white female, most beautiful woman in the world. White female, most beautiful woman in the world. White or near white females. Pretty woman, white or near white females. Pretty brunette, white female with dark hair. Hotties, white females, usually blonde. Bombshell, and this is what comes up when one Googles bombshell. You're just plastered with white women, which is white women, or near white looking women. And also the beach is associated with white women. I think it has one. California girls, suntan white females, usually as blondes. Beach bunnies, young white female chicks. An expression used in 1940s to the late 1970s. So there's a ton. Doll, there's a ton. And I'm just gonna get into his understanding of his decoding of woman. And but I'm just gonna trim this down. All right, I'm just gonna read a little bit. The white female has had to endure her share of struggle and pain. White, Irish, Polish, Italian, and Hispanic females have had to bite their tongues and hold their peace while waiting to be accepted by other whites into the larger white collective. However, the whole race of white females has never been image, labeled, classified, and treated as ugly, loud mouth bitches, welfare queens, and whores. This is not to suggest that white females have not had to deal with their social stigma. Certainly many poor white women in geographical areas such as West Virginia and Kentucky have had to fight for their dignity and family income. However, these social and political struggles and issues were part of the fight for the entry into acceptance or from the larger white collective. And white women did not seek justice. White women did not seek to end an end to white supremacy, domination, or racial injustice. They want greater concessions, greater acceptance, and greater recognition of their social plight from their white brethren. The white female has not demonstrated a great effort to hold the white male accountable for hundreds of years of racial injustice. She has only sought to maximize her benefits and participation in the system. She uses hard-won counter-racist gains such as affirmative action programs to advance her family income and social stability. Black and red females are still left in the dust, bringing up the rear. The white supremacist female has greatly benefited from the work of the white supremacist male. She is his partner, bedmate, and sole supporter. The women's liberation movement was and is a very deceptive racial movement. When their activist language is decoded, what they really want is to provide greater options for white women. Whenever the questions of other women are brought into the fray, they are separated and labeled quickly as issues dealing with Black women or women of color. However, the issue dealing with so-called women of color always languish on the back burner. So again, only women who exist on planet Earth currently are white women. Any notes on that, or folks want to share some of their notes on any of the other code words?
I wanted to read this little portion from top of 141.
It sounds like you're far away from your mic, Kweku.
Give me a second. Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, so top of 141 says white females as a group, despite their claims, have not had to see their men hunted down like wild animals, lynched and castrated, and their babies snatched from them at birth and sold never to be seen again. The whole population of white females has not been degraded and described as animals, subhuman, whores, and prostitutes. So I thought that part was very relevant, just because with the whole women's rights movement, and even today as we see Black females calling themselves feminists, they're still considered subhuman when they're being referred to as Black feminists. But I think that part, we as a collective, as a group, need to understand that we are not the same as white females. Black females are not the same as white females, and they never have been, and they never will be. So when white females are out talking about women's rights, and I think the author does a wonderful job of displaying this, they're talking about equal pay for them. They're talking about being equal with white men, right? They're not. He even talks in the book, they're not talking about getting rid of white supremacy domination. They want to keep the system. They just want more benefits from it. So I thought that part was very, very well written, very well said. And that's something that every single Black person, non-white person on the planet needs to become familiar with, especially in so-called North America.
Precisely. Thank you for those really stellar comments, Mr. Kweku. Someone gonna chime in?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind chiming in. Just further down on page 141, I'm just going to read a part of the extract that it says here. Her presence in many instances has added to the nature of deception. She has not been ready and willing to massively invest resources and funds into eliminating the conditions of so-called ghettos. Rather, she has become an aggressive mouthpiece and seeks to justify the continued and purposeful neglect and ghettoization of environments where large numbers of Black people reside. 100% on the money. Khari Enaharo just literally described the whole of Hillary Clinton's campaign and existence within the American government, or like whatever her role has been ever since before, when her partner Bill Clinton was in presidency. She herself was working on lots of eugenic projects and is kind of responsible for the making sure Planned Parenthood, along with another woman called Margaret something, Stature probably went ahead and they were able to do what their best that they could for white supremacy. But when she was running for presidency, one of the main things that she made sure she did was try her best to suck on the black vote under the pretense of I'm a woman, so I've just experienced what you've experienced. And it's the worst form of deception that they can ever do, because you can see her aggression. You can see that she plays the game or tries to climb up the corporate ladder like any other one of the giants. It's just that she understands she has to navigate a little bit differently as a woman, but she definitely understands her position as a white woman and makes sure she takes advantage of that, and uses it to her advantage. I found that very, very disgusting when she actually went on, I believe it was the Breakfast Club, and said that if you don't vote for her, well, then you're basically a traitor to women. Somebody who's single-handedly involved in making sure women abort their genetic dominant fetus, so they do not so white supremacy can continue. I found if you're not aware and you took those words in, that would have been, yeah, that was a very hard time for me to, but yeah, that's I just wanted to drop that there.
Correct. Thank you, Miss Nebula. They always, white women, they have an excellent job at being under the radar. We don't notice them. We don't pay attention to them, even though they are our teachers practicing racism against us.
Yep.
And like in a number of ways. Hillary Clinton famous for calling Black children super predators and wanting and supporting the crime bill, locking up many Black males and Black females through via racial population tailoring, but she called it fighting crime. So thank you, Ms. Nebula. Sir, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, definitely. Ms. Nebula made me think of Nancy Reagan, and her involvement in practicing racism, white supremacy, while helping her husband lead the war on drugs. When we decode that, it's simply the war on Black people, Black males, and non-white people. So basically, she had the campaign that said "Just Say No," and white females do a good job at symbolically symbolic acts that are supposed to be instances where racism should be countered are merely just performative. And I think they use that role very, very strategically, and they are able to infiltrate because they have that representation for being able to, one, get things done, and two, to have the ability to program other people. Just say no. It's a catchy saying. It looks nice on a t-shirt, and that could be seen in other instances. I think there's the Women's March where they all have their shirts and stuff that have interesting sayings. But white feminism is to me just white females, white women attempting to be able to practice racism, white supremacy at the same level as their white male counterpart. It is not about equality, or it's not about making planet Earth better. It's about being able to oppress non-white people, primarily Black people, to the same extent as their white males are able to do so.
100%. 100%. And we have so I'm gonna read a code word for expert. We always hear this term. They have expert witnesses, expert analysis, just expert. Throw that word on anything, and it's basically just a white person. And he decodes his as on 142. Expert. This is another code word for white people. This means that white people are the smartest and know more about most things than any other group in the world. They are the source of knowledge and are best suited to answer any questions and solve any issues. And this is how they're presented in all areas of people activity. Tragically, we have been indoctrinated via Area 3 entertainment, and we just many of us, if not most of us, have in our brain computer that white people get things done, and it's because they do, because they have organized themselves behind the race. They're the only race of people on the planet, the white race. We got to stop calling ourselves members of a race. Black people are just a collective of people who were classified as Black. We are victims of race. And white people, they definitely do get things done, but this word expert is really, really deceitful, because they will use that in an area of law, and then they will say, I got an expert witness here, and then next thing you know, Black males are going to jail 10 years later, 17 years later. Oh, my bad, I was wrong, I misidentified him, it wasn't him. So very, very dangerous term, I suspect, especially when it's used in law, and also in the medical industrial complex. They're definitely experts at killing people, at sabotaging their genetics, sabotaging their health. Not experts at helping people to live constructive, healthy existences. Not experts at that, apparently, because they may allow each other to live healthy and long existences, but non-white people often just die super early from all these diseases that I suspect if white people want to get rid of them, they could, but they choose to not do so. Papa, and
White people. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was done. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Interesting. White people are experts of everything, but when you try to talk to them one-on-one as a non-white person about racism, all of a sudden they throw out, "Oh, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. I don't understand." So yeah, that's another thing I want to throw out there.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's that deceit right there. Masters of deceit. There's no such thing as an ignorant white person about racism, white supremacy. They all know what's going on. They just refuse to tell the truth, refuse to help us to eliminate the system of white supremacy.
I had a comment. Can I be heard?
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it just left me. It's right on the tip of my tongue. About expert. So with the word expert, I instantly thought of Dr. Fauci, and the whole coronavirus pandemic or pandemic, whatever you want to call it. And because I've seen a number of people come forward, many non-white people, and a lot of white females. But even though they have these kind of information, they've done studies and their research and all this, he is still being treated as the so-called expert in all of this. And I think it perfectly aligns with this code word for man, expert, and so on. It seems like no matter what kind of evidence is brought forward, the country, the victims of racism are supposed to follow what this expert, Dr. Fauci, is saying. No matter what kind of evidence, we are all supposed to follow along with what he's saying. I don't know what credibility he has apart from being a white man. I never heard of the guy before this, but yeah. So that's what I thought about when I heard the word expert.
That is an excellent segue to. I'm going to jump around again. I'm not going to read it in planned order because it's an excellent segue to official. So let me just read this really quickly. Just going to read the. Should I read all of it or just? I'm going to read all of it really quickly. Official. This is another standard word that means white man. It is the standard by which all things are measured and weighed. Things do not become accepted as valid without a white person signing off at some level. It doesn't matter what rank or position the Black individual holds. A white supremacist will always seek to challenge the authenticity of his or her words and will look for a white person to confirm or credit the statement. This happens to Black people at all levels of society. Under the conditions of white supremacy, the lowest ranking white individual feels that he or she can challenge the highest position Black individual. The white supremacist believes that the Black individual is sitting in a white seat and it's theirs to serve the white interest. He or she is a dressed up servant with bells and whistles. Black people cannot validate anything on their own. They are always suspect and their motives are always attacked. When a white man walks through the door, he walks through with credibility that is based on his whiteness. The white man must work hard to prove himself unworthy. And even then, there are many who come to his aid in defense. as witness in the 1998 impeachment trial of President Bill Clinton. Despite the lies and cover-ups, Bill Clinton was given the benefit of the doubt under white supremacy. A white man is always given the benefit of the doubt based on his whiteness. Whiteness is a badge of honor, validity, and correctness. A white man's words are the law, and his actions are accepted as legitimate. Under the doctrine of white supremacy, white men are innocent before guilty. The reverse is true for black males. Now, going back to Fauci, he has a whole history of being associated with like the whole AIDS. White people were really mad at him once upon a time for the whole AIDS epidemic going on. But a couple of decades later, he's touted as the head person, the head white man in charge, and discussing this virus going around. And that's a great example of how it's very hard for white people to lose their credibility, and they are able to be the holders of information, and they tell you what is what. We are not allowed that power, of course, because we are a part of the powerless collective. So very, very interesting, very telling of the true nature of the world we live in. Not true nature, but the true power dynamics going on planet Earth 2021.
Yeah, that also reminded me of a couple book studies ago when I played that clip of, was it Rush Limbaugh, and he was talking about Obama and just not being fit. Yeah, so white male, he's the expert he is the expert on how the system should be ran, right? But yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought again. Apologies. That's what I was thinking of. Sorry, my retardation under the system. Can't hold a thought.
Would someone like to read the Red-Blooded American on 143? Someone who hasn't really participated that much in the study.
If nobody wants to read that. I did have one other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the reference. If I could share that real quick.
Oh, please do. Go ahead.
So reading these code words, man and woman, have caused severe confusion for non-white people on the planet, and I suspect it's because of this white frame of reference that the author talks about on page 135. I'm gonna read a little bit of it. It says, this is also done to define the other men in the world as outside a white frame of reference. He's talking about adding color classifications like black to black man, Chinese man, never adding it to white. So he says a frame of reference means that all interpretation is made from a certain point of view. In the context of a white frame of reference, it means that white people, white things, and white places are at the center of the universe, and everything else in the universe must evolve around whiteness. It keeps the focus on white people and creates a deep belief in the idea of that white is right. So I believe that many non-white people are confused about racism. That also includes not understanding that we are operating in a white cultural society and in a white frame of reference. So, right, the word man and women are causing mass confusion because biologically they might say, oh, having a penis makes you a man, having breasts and a vagina makes you a woman. But when you're operating in a white framework, right, white reference framework of reference, sorry, that is not what qualifies you as a so-called man or woman, right? The ultimate qualification is having white skin, and that is what I believe a lot of us victims are confused about that, because even today we still go around calling ourselves men and women when we know that we are subject to racism. We are subject to racist men and racist women, and we are powerless against them. That's what I wanted to read for white frame of reference.
Yeah, I just have one I would make one modification to what you said, and the qualification is not having white skin, because you know my T-shirt is white. There's very few white people who have the color of my T-shirt as their skin. The ultimate qualification is being classified as white.
Yes.
Being.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for that constructive criticism.
No worries.
I could read the red-blooded American bit if you like it to.
Oh yeah, please do.
Red-blooded American. This is a classic code term for white supremacy. It means a white male. The phrase red-blooded means hot or passionate. All blood is red, so the term red-blooded is an oxymoron. Red is associated with concepts like passion, mania, and heat. A red-blooded American is an aggressive personality. The red-blooded American takes control of the situation. It is a form of manifest destiny that means that God Almighty has ordained them to be in charge and in control. A red-blooded American believes in the ideas of democratization, which that means effective racial management. He or she will defend these ideas to the death. An example of this would be January 6th. A lot of red-blooded Americans, um, aka white people who classify themselves as white, had the goal and tenacity, and ability and power to storm the Capitol building with AR-15s, Desert Eagles, and slews of weapons. People were killed. White sacrifices were made there. Um, and yeah, that's my. I don't really have to go on about that term, but I often use it just to see people's reactions when I classify myself as a red-blooded American, because I know it's not possible for me to be classified as that.
Yeah, correct. And also, the Man Friday clip we played earlier, that's also an example of that personality. Yeah, they will defend these ideas to the death. Most white people, I suspect, if it seemed to them that the system of white supremacy was coming to an end, they would rather fight to the death than allow the system to be replaced with a better system. So really telling. And just to throw in some counter racist logic, an American is a person who practices justice. So far, that is not happening on planet Earth. So Americans do not exist. Yeah, but yeah, just the mania and passion. We see a lot of that. Just turn to any crime channel, any YouTube channel that discusses crime, and you will see, it was a crime of passion, and it was a heat of rage, So we have been really conditioned to be like white people ourselves, So we often mimic their behaviors tragically, and before white people got in charge, I suspect Black people who are now classified as Black, I suspect we were not behaving in that manner. I don't think we were killing people we claim that we love. I don't think we were killing children that we claim that we love. But these are our behaviors, misbehaviors taught, conditioned within us by racist men and racist women. Was someone gonna go
Yeah, I
ahead?
wanted to speak on. Oh, go ahead.
No, Kellen, please go ahead.
I wanted to speak on page 143. Normally, peaceful community. This term is used when an incident happens in a predominantly white community. The goal is to deflect derogatory images. The normal course of events is to ensure that Black people are the real vermin and their communities are where the criminals reside. How many times have we listened to the news or paid attention to the news, and when a white dad shoots up and kills his whole family, including the dog, and the news reporters will ask the neighbors, like, what happened? Did you hear anything? Did you know anything? No, this was a really nice neighborhood. This is normally a peaceful community. Nothing like this ever happens. And then you look if you're looking past news articles, or you'll see that, yeah, it's happened many times where the dad went berserk or the mom killed her kids, drowned her kids, or what have you. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I have a clip. I have two clips regarding that. The normally peaceful community and also quiet area / normally peaceful community. Before I get to that, quickly, would you like to share what you were going to share?
Oh no, you can go ahead.
All right. So before I get to the clips, I want to just read advisors. This is another word used to define white males. I would throw in white females too, if I was like the editor of this text. An advisor is considered a smart and in charge kind of individual under white code thinking. This description fits the image of a white individual. And I'm sure many of us who have gone through the educational system have had these so-called advisors, especially in higher education. I've had many, and they were all white. My major advisor was white. My college advisor was white. One was a white man, one was a white female. So yeah, this is really yeah, I'm glad this is in the text. Now I'm gonna read
Can I comment on advisor?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because you know, while you're speaking about that, you know, advisors oftentimes when they're in like TV shows, any kind of like media, right? They usually are the kind of like the devils on people's shoulder, right? Kind of giving them the most insidious kind of thoughts and behaviors and things to enact on people, you know, influencing these so-called good white people to do the terrible things that they do. You know, which in reality they're in agreement with it. It's like they are kind of, you know, they have those checks and balances where they can blame other people for their actions, but they're the people that okayed it. So they listen to these advisors, and then when something goes wrong, they may blame the advisor, right? But they're the people that, you know, it's almost as if they try to act ignorant about it, right? Like they don't know what they just assume that the advisors know best and whatnot, and then they just go along with co-signing it, when in reality I believe they know exactly what's going on and they are okay with it.
Very well said. So quiet area, this is for 144. Quiet area / normally peaceful community. This is code for the suburbs. The term area means an area where white people live in dominant numbers. The white supremacists have created the impression that they are peace-loving, quiet, and civilized people. The image of a white picket fence, which when decoded means white and protected area with friendly people. In reality, many white supremacists who live in these communities fly around the world and engage in actions that oppress, suppress, destabilize, and destroy Black people. Their actions create and sustain violence in Black dominant environments. They create unstable conditions in a non-white environment. They then go home and relax in a quiet and peaceful surroundings. The facade is that of peace and quiet. In reality, those communities harbor deadly white supremacists who continue to work on projects, secret operations, plans, and so forth that lead to the exploitation, destruction, and degradation of Black people. They pose as civilized, wonderful people, the salt of the earth, while they wreak havoc and destruction all over the world. So then we're going to play up these clips, and then we can discuss.
It's a sight many who live around here have never seen before.
I've been here for 10 years and I know most of my neighbors, and we don't have much crime like that.
Crime scene tape surrounding a man lying dead in this apartment complex driveway, with alcohol, tobacco, and firearms agents and police officers entering apartments holding shields and battering rams.
For this neighborhood, it's a pretty nice neighborhood. It's very unusual for this to see something like this.
Police tell 12 News someone shot and killed the 41-year-old man around 1 Wednesday afternoon. It happened after a fight. Officers used dogs to help clear the area. The shooting happened across the street from the Girl Scouts building, but there's no reported connection between the two. One man, a retired deputy sheriff, tells me he's lived in this neighborhood since 1975 and has never seen this.
The neighborhood's been pretty well safe, relatively safe. We don't have this happen every day here.
A lot of questions out there, Caroline. Did police have any leads on a suspect?
No, Patrick, unfortunately, police tell me they're still searching for a suspect and a motive in this homicide, and they're waiting to release that victim's name until they can contact his family members.
Caroline.
And now let's look at the caption, the description of this video. The title: Man shot, killed Wednesday afternoon in normally quiet neighborhood. All right, and let's go on to the next one. But before, let's look at the description of this one. A shooting that left 4 dead and 1 injured in Grantsville has shocked a tight-knit and normally peaceful neighborhood. You know, very, very, right on the money in the race Cold War game. And also for this one, pay attention to the words used. You know, this person killed 4 people, but pay attention to the words being used.
The crime scene tape is gone, resorting a sense of normalcy in this Grantsville neighborhood. That is, until you knock on one of the neighbors' door.
There have been a lot of tears shed on our street.
Shock and devastation as people try to piece together what happened here Friday night.
It's just really, really tough for everybody.
Grantsville police believe a teenage boy used a handgun to shoot 5 people he lived with. A woman and 3 children died. A man was taken to the hospital. It's the deadliest shooting in the city of Grantsville's history.
We are a very small community. We're a tight-knit community. Most everyone knows everyone. The scope of this incident is something that this community has not seen in a number of years.
Police believe the victim that survived came to the home after the initial shooting took place. Someone unrelated to the shooting showed up and was asked to take the suspect and victim to the hospital. That's when the first and only call to 911 was made. The suspect was taken into custody, but police say he isn't giving them any information.
While he refused to speak with us, he did not give officers any problems.
As police continue to try to figure out what happened, so do the people who knew the ones inside that home.
They were a very nice family and hug your relatives. Yep.
Now, you think if there was a black person or a non-white person who did that, his name wouldn't be all around. Yeah, like you think it was any person classified as non-white, I'm pretty sure we would know their name for the person who did this. But it just goes to show. And also, while he's not giving us any information, he's been nice. You know, he's been nice. Something of that nature was said. Very telling. You know, white people get like such a way different treatment in all areas of people activity. You know, whether it's just kill 4 people, kill 5 people, killed 9 people in a church. You know, let's take you to Burger King. You know, take you to Burger King real quick, get you a little quick meal in. You know, for the good work you've done for white supremacy, and then we'll take you to jail. But yeah,
I suspect
go ahead.
If this was a non-white neighborhood, they would have put up the gun stats, how many people have died in this neighborhood in the past year, the rise in crime, etc. They would have gotten all that out of the woodworks. You know, they're just interviewing white people who are obviously trying not to associate themselves or say, you know, that they live like this, or, you know, that crime doesn't happen in this place. They said this is the most devastating, you know, whatever murder in this city's history. I wonder what else has gone on in this city. I mean, 5 people died, but I'm sure that's not the only time people have been murdered here. But they're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So I found that very interesting.
I also think even the delivery of the news was very empathetic in a way and sincere. If this was a non-white community, especially a black community, well, a black neighborhood, no community amongst people classified as black. Um, it would have been the story would have been delivered in a more action news type of way. This just in, 4 people shot in a drive-by shooting or a home invasion, and it would have really been in your face versus being a man was shot. People are crying, people are sad. Um, don't get me wrong, the the story about the non-white community would definitely be have a non-white victim crying about their baby or whoever was fallen victim to the system of racial white supremacy. But yeah, this was interesting. I was kind of confused because I thought this was the school shooting, but it turns like another young white male killed I think 4 people. This video said very interesting, and notice how when white people kill people on the news or whatever, they don't really get their images placed on the web unless it's something drastic, like a school shooting, like Ethan Crumbley, the most recent practitioner of racism and white supremacy. Him and his family are under the microscope right now for what he did, what he was conditioned to do, I should say. But yeah, very interesting stuff, but to be expected. They're always going to speak very nicely and calmly about what they do, and they always mention it doesn't happen here because that's code for we're not like this. This is an anomaly. We're the good ones, aka the white people are the good ones. So yeah, it's all brainwashing. It's all programming. It's all used to make sure people think, speech, and act a certain way, and that way is primarily anti-black and anti-life.
Stellarly said, Mr. Sert. And yeah, I would. They said this is the worst shooting in Grantsville history. I'm pretty sure in the 1800s. I'm pretty sure in the early 1900s, even there was a ton of black people being mistreated here, possibly killed in this area of the world known as Grantsville. So yeah, that just lies, and white sympathy towards other white people, which is also, I suspect, to be pretending white people don't care about anything about the system of white supremacy and maintaining that system because they love the benefits they get from it, but they don't care about the white people. Case in point, Ethan Crumbley killing his classmates for fun, and this person right here, they have no problem killing each other for fun or for whatever reason, something we gotta understand. And this is why we should be suspicious of all white people, all white children. Be very suspicious of them because they have been trained 24/7 to practice racism, white supremacy. Possibly, maybe some are escaping that conditioning from all areas of people activity, but I suspect not. This is yeah, I kind of want to watch this one because it could be an update and there could be new information. So we're gonna watch this one. Then we'll get into the closing comments.
There have been serious.
If other folks have comments to share notes, but we're gonna check this one out too.
Questions about what happened in the hours leading up to the Oxford High School shooting. Many of those questions remained unanswered until now. Only 7 Action News has confirmed there were 2 meetings between school officials and the 15-year-old sophomore charged, Ethan Crumbley. One meeting was on Monday, the second on Tuesday morning, and that one involved Crumbley's parents. That was just hours before 10 students and a teacher were shot, 4 students killed. 7 Action News reporter Jim Kirchner talked exclusively with the Oakland County Sheriff about the investigation and has more on these critical moments. Jim?
Carolyn, so many people inside Oxford High School saying they can't sleep. They want answers. They're not getting them. They are relying on us, and the sheriff agreed to talk with us. He says school officials are cooperating fully now. He says he knows who were inside those 2 critical meetings. He knows what was discussed. His liaison officer inside that high school was not included. were there warning signs that were made aware to school officials that perhaps someone missed?
Obviously, this is all part of the investigation and is part of our evidence and our process now because we've transferred over into the prosecution side. So I can't get into specific evidentiary issues because we certainly don't want to jeopardize prosecution.
Concealing information is a form of deceit. It's a form of lying.
In hindsight, where we all have 20/20 vision, do I wish we would have been drawn into this information prior? Absolutely.
The sheriff has revealed school surveillance video shows Ethan Cromley walked into a bathroom with a backpack, came out without it, and opened fire with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. After that meeting that morning, he was returned to class. Is that your understanding?
Correct.
And anybody search a backpack, which theoretically he could have been carrying the gun at that time, correct?
To my knowledge, no.
But he could have had the gun with him this whole time.
Could have.
Yesterday, we saw Cromley's parents, Jennifer and James, on the Zoom during their son's arraignment in court. They told their son not to cooperate after he was arrested, and he hasn't. And they have not cooperated. They were in that meeting at the school with their son Tuesday morning. Were the parents given any instructions on how to proceed after that meeting?
I can't get into what was said or done in that meeting for evidentiary reasons, but there was discussions.
The sheriff has been consistently saying his team had no warning signs prior to the shooting, including from school officials. You've told the community, if you see something, say something. Did school officials do that?
Well, again, in hindsight, now that we know all that we know, certainly we wish we would have been brought into that meeting or informed of that meeting.
Now, the sheriff says he has told school officials they are free to discuss this while he can't, and the people inside the school say they have a lot more questions, including the critical one: who made the decision to allow Ethan Cromley to return back to class just a couple of hours before this terrible tragedy? We're going to stay on this, of course. Reporting live in Pontiac, Jim Kurtzner, 7 Action News.
White defiance and white power. The parents told the race parents told the race child, "Hey, don't cooperate. Don't cooperate with them," and he's listening. And I don't know if they're on the run. The parents are on the run, or if they're in custody, but they're not cooperating either. And that's white power 101. You know, white people, like, you know, this system works for me. I'm not subject to the system. I am the system. It's kind of the mentality I'm getting from these people. Really, hilariously.
I totally agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree. 05 T6. This really, it's fascinating stuff. I was unaware that they told the child not to participate in with the race soldiers who have captured him, and the justice system that's attempting to prosecute him. That's really interesting, and also I noticed by watching this clip, the media really does a great job at looking for someone else to blame. Who let him out the meeting? Why was he allowed to go back to the classroom? Let's blame the officers. No, let's blame the parents. No, let's blame the person who they had the meeting with, the school officials. The real thing to blame is the dominating force on planet Earth, which is racism, white supremacy. That's the real problem and the real reason why Ethan Cromley decided that he had the ability and power to remove 4 living organisms from planet Earth. White supremacy does that. It completely eradicates the understanding, the ancient understanding that life is supposed to be on in motion on planet Earth. And he really throwing things out of whack in the universe with these killings. Really unfortunate. But I do think the parents are on the run, or maybe
will be captured soon because they are, going to be blamed heavily for this mass shooting. And the fact that he went into the bathroom with a backpack and came out without the backpack, it's just scary stuff all around. Straight out of a horror movie. Yeah.
Well said, Mr. Sir. Thank you.
Does I haven't, I mean, I don't know. Does anyone know what the victims were? What they were classified as, or have they not released that yet?
The victims, I believe, are all white, but Ethan Crumley, he had an Instagram, and his Instagram had a bunch of racist images of black males, and the images were distorted. They were black images, and they were distorted, making the black people look like creatures, like. And I also think if I was understanding what I was seeing correctly, it looked like there was a black male being choked by someone, and that image was like distorted. And I believe he was calling that art or his photography or something like that. So the victims were white, but he had social media where he was clearly thinking incorrectly about people classified as black.
See, yes, I also agree with. It is pretty. I shouldn't be shocked, but it's quite shocking that the parents are telling him not to comply or cooperate. That for me is just. I mean, that should just be guilty. But racism, racist man, racist woman, logic, racist logic. It. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. Your son just shot up and killed a number of people, and you're telling him not to comply. I don't know. That guilty. Throw him under the jail. It's going to be interesting to see how this kind of unfolds. I should say. And it's always interesting to watch how white people, racist man, racist woman, duke it out in the court of law, or whatever the result is. Racism, white supremacy will probably be more refined and become stronger from it. Unfortunately, that's just my opinion about it. I'm done.
The parents were captured a few hours later, and the dad bought the gun like 2 days before his son did what he did.
Interesting. Alrighty. From the chat, I just want to share some comments from Rael, who will be on a future broadcast, because seems to be a victim of racism who has a lot of information about the system that they would like to share with us. So we'll be interviewing Rael. We'll email him and see if we can get him available on Tuesday.
Can I say one more thing about this event?
Oh, please do.
I also suspect that they possibly told him not to cooperate because maybe they had something to do with this thing happening. 2 days after the firearm was purchased, he commits this act and kills 4 or 5 students, I believe. Really suspicious activity. Why else? Why that to me? What is what other reason is there not to cooperate or comply? It's the very least thing the parents can do if they had any empathy or remorse or care for the victims of this tragedy. Those are my thoughts.
And also, you remember he was in class looking at ammunition, like trying to purchase ammunition or something of that, and he got caught, and his mom texted him, I would have done the same thing, just don't get caught, or something like that. And also, when the news got around that he had committed this terrorist attack, the race mother, she said she texted him, don't do it, after it's been reported that it was already done, maybe trying to save face, something of that nature. But very interesting indeed. And Rael, he put some really interesting comments in the chat. I'm gonna read both of them. People of color have always underestimated the power of white women. Even today, you cannot talk about racist women in the Black community without pushback from Black people, especially men. Agreed, minus the terminology used. I don't see people classified as Black as being men, nor us having a community. But I get what you're saying. These people are seriously on code and constantly writing history that nobody questions. Yeah, we're really living in 1984, 2021. Very, very accurate. But please, if we're trying to codify ourselves, let's practice using the correct terms and understanding that Black communities do not exist, Black men do not exist. So very important. All right. I don't have any more notes to share. I'll open the floor for folks who didn't share notes, who wanted to get them shared. If not, we can go into closing comments, and someone can get us started on that if there are no notes to relay.
I can go ahead and start my closing comment then. One thing that I always try to remember, especially in the context of racism, white supremacy, which is for me all the time, is that when decisions were being made, when white people were figuring out how everything's going to work in the world, dividing up Africa and its resources and dividing up the world's resources, where were Black people? They were in chains, slaves. They had no part of it. On top of that, have Black people been, brought to this so-called table? Have they been in business meetings to divide up resources with white people or anything like that? Has any of that taken place? To my knowledge, it has not. So for me, that tells me that we are still operating in a system of racism, white supremacy. We are operating in the white man's world. And this book, the code word man, woman, reinforces that for me. I found this business meeting to be constructive, and I'm looking forward to the next discussion, as always.
Yeah, I can jump in. Agreed, very constructive meeting. For some reason, because it's so recent, the Ethan Crumley thing has been on the Ethan Crumley mass shooting, which I suspect and truly believe is a direct result of the system of racism, white supremacy. Because of this is so recent, I am really understanding that the Urugu, they do have this kid is very young, and it seems like he really had no care for life. So I'm really suspecting that this will intensify as time moves forward. Time, another concept created by the Urugu. My closing comments are: this book is really changing how I receive information from people, because I just already exist as a Black male, so I'm treated like a Black male. So it's good to know why I'm being treated like a threat, and people are crossing the street when they see me, or people are looking away when I come near them. It's good to know why I'm constantly experiencing racialized psychological attacks 24/7 the moment I exit my dwelling. So it's good to know why the victimization continues, and some of the words that comes along with the behavior patterns. I look forward to the day where I'm able to walk down the street without being a victim of intense psychological violence, pain, and trauma. Just to speed it up, I'm gonna popcorn.
I'll go next. Oh yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I second everything you said. I also look forward to that that day Takeaways, I would encourage people classified as Black to use correct terminology, unless you have found a way to not be subjected to racist men and racist women. Let's just call it what it is. We are victims. We are prisoners of war. We are Black males, Black females, non-white people. That goes for so-called Asian people, so-called Mexicans who are classified as non-white. Goes for so-called Native Americans who are often called red people. We are not men or women. We are victims of racism. And once we have that understanding, we can begin to develop and evolve into universal man and universal woman. But let's stop lying to ourselves and let's stop pretending. We used to play house when we were little girls and little boys. We used to play house, pretend like we were husband and wives, all that stuff. But it's time to end that. It's time to end pretending and get really serious about what is going on planet Earth. The white people are very, very serious about maintaining their business, and we need to be as serious about destroying their business and producing a system of justice. Closing comments. If you don't have a closing comment, please let it be known. I know.
Yeah, so for my closing comments, I would just like to say that I really enjoyed this constructive business meeting, hearing everybody else's feedback in terms of what the responses that what triggered for them in reading these past chapters. I'm going to make a lot of notes of this chapter because I deal with this in my work field a lot, and it's any health services is female dominated, white female dominated, and it's a battlefield. It definitely can be in terms of microaggressions. So I'm going to take extra notes in this chapter. I really enjoyed hearing everyone's constructive feedback around these chapters, and I look forward to the next meeting.
Microaggression, code for racist aggression. So let's correct terms. Microaggressions are not a correct term. Racist attacks, racism. Hey,
microaggression, there's nothing micro about being mistreated, maimed, harmed, killed. Nothing about it. Just look
Tell me about it. It takes a lot of mental strength to be able to keep going back. But yeah, until I have that awareness and until I'm going to have to reduce as much exposure as possible just to protect my mental health. Yeah.
Correct. Excellent business meeting. Just wanted to remind everybody that white women do it best. There's a clip out there of former President Obama being berated by a white woman with blonde hair. And if you read the book, then you know what I mean when I say blonde hair. And
yeah, I meant to play that actually. Did you put it in WhatsApp? Let me play that before we head out. My bad.
Yeah, I put it.
Remind me.
Just to show proof that white women are not afraid of us. So when they say that malarkey, when they're practicing racism, white supremacy, oh, I was afraid. No, they're not. LeBron James, that whole situation when he was on the court and those two white people, one of them was a white woman, harassing him, that he had to get them ejected from the game. Lord knows what, I have no idea what they said to him, but I could, assume that they were practicing racism, white supremacy. A famous, very popular YouTuber said that they were saying something about his son being killed or wishing that his son was dead or something like that, but don't know if that's true, but it could be.
Thank you for that reminder of this clip, Helen. And this was play this.
We're beginning tonight with that picture that has caused quite a stir. It shows the governor of Arizona, Jan Brewer, pointing her finger at President Obama as they met on the tarmac yesterday in Mesa, Arizona. The president and the Republican governor have disagreements over many things, including immigration policy, and their debate continued on the tarmac. The president took issue with the governor's new book. in which she claims that the president lectured her and was condescending to her in an Oval Office meeting. We spoke to Governor Brewer today about the meeting on the tarmac. Chief White House correspondent Norah O'Donnell has that. She's traveling with the president in Colorado tonight. Norah?
Scott, immigration is always a hot button political issue, but it got personal when the president met with the Republican governor of Arizona. It's this picture with the Republican governor's finger in the president's face that has Jan Brewer on the defensive today.
I don't believe I was disrespectful. I went there again, as I said, with a happy heart to share with him what Arizona has done for the Arizona comeback.
The confrontation happened on the tarmac after Air Force One landed just outside Phoenix yesterday.
He wants to talk about amnesty. I want to talk about border security, and we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that.
The president has never advocated for blanket amnesty for illegal immigrants, but does support a path to citizenship for some. And the president and the governor have a history of strained relations over Arizona's controversial law, which requires Arizonans to carry immigration papers at all times or risk arrest. Under the law, anyone can be stopped on suspicion of being in the country illegally, and the Obama administration is challenging the law in court. In 2010, the governor requested a White House meeting with the president and at the time described it as friendly.
Well, we just completed our meeting this afternoon, and it was a very cordial.
Yet a year later in her book, she recalled that same meeting quite differently. It was as though President Obama thought he would lecture me and I would learn at his knees, she writes. He was patronizing. The president clearly didn't like that description, and aides say he told the governor on the tarmac she inaccurately described their meeting. Brewer now accuses the president of being thin-skinned.
Having the most powerful man in the world tell you that he didn't like the way you spoke about him in your book, it takes a little bit away from you. It's a little breathtaking.
And this won't be the last time the president visits Arizona this campaign year. His call for immigration reform is likely to be popular with Arizona's growing Hispanic population.
The opponents of action are out of excuses. We should be working on comprehensive immigration reform right now.
Now, this whole desert dust-up has proved quite a distraction. The president himself tonight saying this is a classic example, Scott, of things getting blown out of proportion.
Norah, thanks very much. We don't know if this story will sell papers, but it sure is selling books. Have a look at this. Before she pointed to the president's face, Governor Brewer's book ranked number 285,568 on the Amazon sales list. We checked again just a little while ago. The book is now up to number 21.
Mistreat a non-white person and you get a bestseller, damn near.
Well, white power, white power. Yep. And
Look,
I was
that's and another way for saying lies. She lied. Right after having the meeting with him, she said how, everything was peaceful and cool. And now when she writes a book, he's just practicing racism, white supremacy.
Yeah, look at that finger pointing at the so-called once upon a time president,
Like he's a child.
Exactly.
As he is.
Exactly.
Even though he's the president, it don't matter.
Exactly.
I think that's what she reminded him. She reminded him, that look and that finger, you goddamn nigger, don't you ever contradict something I said. We didn't give you this job so you can act like an uppity nigger.
That's right.
And that's what he obeyed and cooperated with. He's a disgusting, unfortunately, monstrosity like the rest of us. But I think to be him, the amount of evil that he has to participate in, I wouldn't be shocked if he eats children. Something that crazy will come out eventually, hopefully, on him. Yep, yeah. I don't think he's gonna die peacefully. He's gonna get the bill.
Oh God, that's something.
This island that I live on, Jeffrey Epstein's island, is right out in the water.
Yikes. She also called him the most powerful man in the world, practicing deceit and confusion. I don't know if anybody else caught that.
But yeah, look at her in this image in this photo, reminding him that he is a nigger.
Yep.
A
That's why he putting
child.
his head down and tilting to the side, showing her signs of submission.
I suspect she doesn't point her finger at white males like this or white men.
Yeah.
I would love to
Maybe
see a picture of
a
that.
grandson or something.
Yeah, definitely not official.
You remember how
People-
Mr. Fuller describes? Anybody remember how Mr. Fuller describes the way a racist is thinking when a black person is trying to teach them something or tell them something as if they don't know everything that we know? That's why she said patronizing. They always get mad whenever you talk to them exactly like they are. Talk to them like a person who's lying or being deceitful. They always accuse us of talking down to them because in their mind, how dare you, nigger? You're beneath me and you talk to me like I'm at your level. So I think she was telling the truth. But when she came out of that meeting, she lied. She lied about how she thought about how she was talked to. He's known for thinking he's not a nigger and that he's smart. So he pisses white people off like this all the time. All the time because he forgets. And then they
I think you muted yourself by accident. Evolutionist.
that it happens when that's also evidence in my mind. It happens when you're having sex with whites. You forget. It's the most confusing and devastating thing. You begin to fantasize as if you're somehow vaguely removed from the classification of black. And then you begin to talk to white people as if you're right there with them. But they all retaliate. They all do. Even the weakest of them. I used to beat them. They all retaliate, even after getting the ass whooped. They gonna figure out a way to get.
Muted yourself again.
Yeah, I'm done. Sorry.
No, very well said. I like to thank all the folks who were a host of counter racist ideas and really significant ideas for this business meeting, this counter racist Sunday service. Hopefully this information will get out to more non-white people so we can develop that effective number of victims who will bring this system to a halt and replace it with a system of justice. Please like, comment, and subscribe if it was of constructive value. Thank you for the audience. And Riel says that Rittenhouse getting off the will. Oh, Rittenhouse getting off will inspire a lot of young white men acting out. I think you're correct about that. Well, with that being said, excellent business meeting, everyone. CRWS signing out. Bye.
Peace.